Hi, I'm Brooke. I'm your librarian for social work. This guide that I've designed for you is supposed to be help for you for your assignments in your class Social Work 5301 Human Behavior and the Social Environment with Kristen Terry. This guide is selected social work resources available in the library's collection and on the internet. It also includes tips on how to search for scholarly materials and lists resources that can help you organize and document your research. To navigate, simply click the blue and orange tabs above. I've carefully picked out electronic resources to help you find background information and scholarly articles for your topics. If you need any assistance with your research, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm going to give you my contact information at the end, and your teacher should already have this guide posted in her Blackboard site. So let's get started. I want to show you some searching techniques so that you're better prepared to do searches and to do your research and write your papers. So searching for me and searching for librarians trying to teach information literacy is teaching that searching is as exploration. So locating information requires a combination of inquiry, discovery, and serendipity. There is no one size fits all source to find the needed information. Information discovery is nonlinear and iterative, requiring the use of a broad range of information sources and flexibility to pursue alternate avenues as new understanding is developed. So I won't play this video for you, but I hope that you will watch it on your own. But I want to go over some of the best practices in searching and some of the learning outcomes and goals of library research. So best practices are identify interested parties such as scholars, organizations, governments, and industries who might produce information about a topic and then determine how to access that information. In other words, it's not all about just what you find in the databases and in the literature. Also identify things outside of academia, perhaps, that can get you interested in your research area and that you might be able to use as sources or to help you with your searching. The other one is utilize divergent, such as brainstorming, and convergent, such as selecting the best source, thinking when you are searching. Match information needs to search strategies to appropriate search tools. That one's kind of a given. And define and refine needs and search strategies as necessary based on search results. So don't give up so easily, and I'm going to talk about this in just a minute. So if you do a search and you don't come up with something right away, you need to define it and retry different things. So you need to pursue different strategies and techniques, not just one. And then lastly, use different types of searching language like controlled vocabulary, keywords, natural language, and use them appropriately. Also synonyms to your keywords as well, and we'll go over that in a little bit. Learning outcomes and goals of library research. Being able to exhibit mental flexibility and creativity. So be mentally flexible. And I still take this back to don't give up on your first try when you're searching. Think about your search in a certain context and think about the synonyms. Think about when you're researching, think about where the research is taking you. It might take you somewhere that you weren't expecting. Just because you pick a certain topic or a certain question that you like and you want to research on, once you start doing your searching and once you start identifying sources, that research and those sources might take you in a different direction. So be flexible and open to that. And again, I'm going to reiterate this a couple times. Understand that first attempts at searching do not always produce adequate results. Please don't give up. Do not give up on your first search and change your search topic. I guarantee there is stuff out there for you. You just have to know how to find it, and you have to be persistent and not give up. Realize that information sources can vary greatly in content and format and have varying relevance and value depending on the needs and nature of the search. Seek guidance from experts such as librarians like myself, and recognize the value of browsing and other serendipitous methods of information gathering. And lastly, I want to drive this home again, persist in the face of search challenges and know when you have enough information to complete the information task. Do not give up. So, moving on from that, let's talk a little bit about the logic of searching. So first I want to talk about Boolean operators. Hopefully some of you have heard of what Boolean operators are and maybe how to use them. So using Boolean operators when searching will give you better and more accurate results, and retrieves articles that contain all of the search terms and narrows down the results, or retrieves articles with any of the terms and broadens the search. Not eliminates articles containing the second term, which narrows the search. Using quotations or brackets will search for a phrase as a whole, and using Boolean logic and keywords are essential when searching library databases. If you only search Google, you will not get very far. Google uses natural language, which is great when you are searching for everyday things on the open web. Oh, excuse me. And I use that all the time myself, but natural language does not work in databases, and you will not find the things that you're looking for if you don't know how to do the search. So I've made this really nifty diagram to kind of help explain how the operators and, or, and not work. So and, of course, like I said, narrows, or broadens, and not eliminates. Please watch this short tutorial video. It's really easy to follow. It talks about cats and dogs, and it uses that context, very simple and elementary, to help explain the logic of Boolean. And I know it seems very elementary, but it actually is very helpful just to understand a pretty basic principle that, if you're not familiar with, can be confusing. So down at the bottom, you'll see citation searching and searching with limiters. Citation searching is when you found a really great article or piece of information that you would really like to use, and you really wish you could find something similar or something kind of like it. The best thing to do is go down to the bottom of that article and look at the references. So look at the citations, look what that author used to write that really great piece of literature, and then go seek out those different sources, and then look at those sources, and then look at those sources citations, and so on and so forth. You can come up with a lot of great things doing citation searching. So it's kind of starting from the top and working down, and you will always come up with at least some great resources that way. It's just another way, besides jumping into the databases, that you can find great research material. Also, searching using limiters and fields, which I'm going to demonstrate when I do a database search here in just a second. But some of the most common things are peer-reviewed or scholarly. This is the best way to know that you are actually looking at only scholarly peer-reviewed material. Sometimes it can be very hard if you don't have this, at your fingertips in the databases. Most databases nowadays have this option, so it makes it really easy. If there's ever not this option, some really easy ways to point out whether your article is scholarly or if it's more of an opinion piece, or some other kind of media, is scholarly is it usually has an abstract, and it usually has different headings. It's usually written by some kind of scholar that has either a master's degree or a PhD, and it's usually coming out of some kind of research institution. So that's a great way to tell. But if you're in a database and you see the scholarly peer-reviewed button to check, always click it. The second one is publication date. For social work, and I'm going to demonstrate this in a few minutes, it is about 10 years. Nursing, for instance, can be even shorter, 5 years. The medical field specifically can be 3 years, but the historical field can be up to 20 years or more. It just depends on your discipline. But for social work, the general rule of thumb is 10 years, unless otherwise specified by your professor. There's also publication type, language. I'll also go over age, population, gender. We're also going to go over subject headings and subject major headings, and that's something that's going to be very important for you to always use as well. So let's move on, and we'll go into the social work databases. Now, I've listed some here. I've listed some of the top rated ones for social work: the social work abstracts, psych info, academic search complete, and then I list all of the social work databases here, and because we had left them listed by subject, and this is on the library website. And then over here I have the best database for this class, if you want to search a single database, would be Social Services Abstract. But then my favorite database overall is actually not even a social work database. It's actually a nursing and allied health database, but it has so many great search features, it covers so many different disciplines, and it has so many ways to search and so many different limiters. Social work can be very interdisciplinary, so searching outside of social work abstracts and social services abstracts is actually the best way to go. And as you can see, PsycInfo is psychology, but it covers a lot of things, and it also has a lot of search facets and limiters to it, just like Socw does. Now, I've put some tutorials down in here of how to search in these certain databases and how to search Socw for you guys to use as well, besides this video that I'm creating for you now. I'm going to use some of these databases, but I'd like to show you how to get to them from the library homepage if you can't, for some reason, manage to get back to this page. So I'm going to go out and click on the library homepage. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top left corner and I'm going to click on Databases A to Z. Now, you can search by subject, and you can go to that page that I brought up right here where it's all social work databases, but you can also just do it alphabetically. So if you click on A, the best one that you should always start with is Academic Search Complete. This is a multidisciplinary database that provides access to thousands of full-text academic journals, as well as indexing and abstracting thousands of journals, books, reports, conference proceedings, and more. So click on this one. And what's great about this one, and a few other the EBSCO host, as you see here, platforms, is you can search multiple databases at the same time. So that's what we're going to do, and that's what I suggest. And I suggest searching multiple, but play around with the ones that you're searching it. So search a couple, and then search a lot more, or just search one or two, and then search 10. So it can all vary. Your results can vary based on what you're searching. So for this search that I'm going to do, I would like to always have Academic Search Complete clicked. I think I'm going to try Age Line. I'm going to try Socw, of course, which is a great database. I'm going to try ERIC. It's an educational database, but it also has some great limiters, and you can search by methodology, so I like to click that one a lot. I'm going to do Family Studies Abstracts. I'm also going to go over here and, of course, click Social Work Abstracts. I'm going to click PsycInfo, Psychology and Behavioral Sciences, Psych Articles, and I'm going to click Medline. It's a medical database, but it is just like Socw and ERIC. You can search by methodologies, and it has a bunch of different search facets. If you get to this point and you're not really sure which ones you should choose besides some of the ones that I've demoed for you, all you have to do is hover over the little box at the end, and a box will pop up and it'll explain to you what the database is and how it's useful. So this one is anthropology. Sometimes anthropology can be helpful in social work. I'm not going to click it this time, but I'm just giving you an example of how you can figure out what the database is, and if maybe you should search that one. Another one that sometimes I search is the criminal justice abstracts. LGBT life is a great one if that's something that your topic pertains to. A lot of these legal ones as well can be helpful. Another one is also race relations abstracts. And actually, I forgot, I'm going to click this one as well. But I think this is enough. This is quite a few. And I'm going to select OK. And so now the database is being told to search all of these databases. So the research topic that I'm just going to demo, so I can do this for you today, is the question is the effects of poverty on African American youth. So when you're pulling out keywords, you don't want to use the words the or of or on. And you don't really want to use effects because that's going to be pretty clear in the research. You can use it if you want to see what comes up. Maybe use it in a phrase with brackets around it, but don't just use it as a single keyword. Keywords are usually nouns. So for this one, we are going to do American youth or African American youth and poverty. Because those would be the main topics, actually. So picking out keywords from this one would be the main topics of the question. So poverty is going to be in my first box. And I'm going to leave this is the Boolean operators that I was telling you about, and or not. I'm going to leave it at and. And is going to help narrow down a search. Because if we just search poverty, we would come up with over 1 million results. And that is way too much. And we already know that we have a narrow search that we'd like to do based on our research question. So we want to type in African American youth. And we're going to click search. So we've got 593 results. So now we have to go to work. We have to go to work in limiting our search. So you'll always keep your eye on this current search box. So right now the only thing going on is the Boolean phrase that we have in place, which is poverty and African American youth. So if you remember from the previous slide that I showed you, you're always going to want to click scholarly peer reviewed. And that updated it to about 412. And you see that appeared in the current search. So you can see that we have the one limiter placed on our search. Now we want to go and do the publication date. And we want to keep to our rule of thumb and do 10 years. If you just click off to the side, it will update. Now we have 308. That's still kind of an unmanageable number. And you'll see that it is going along in our search box. So that's what we have going on. So let's scroll down a little bit. Now I told you I was going to tell you a little bit about subjects. The best one to search is not the thesaurus term and not just the regular subject, but do subject major heading. These are going to be the major headings that the author has identified as the major topics of the article. So we want to click on major heading and see what there is available. If you click show more, it'll show all of the major headings. So the first one that has the most hit count is the term blacks. The second one is the term poverty. And the third is the term violent. Fourth is adolescent development. So you can search multiple at the same time, or you can just search one at a time. We'll start with probably with just one. We're gonna, well, actually probably two. So let's click blacks and poverty and update that and see what we get. So we get 83 results. Now this is somewhat manageable. You could start whittling your way through here, but we could also bring this down a little bit. So let's maybe click on adolescent development. So you can see by reading some of the titles that neighborhood poverty and African American youth, and it stands out with some of your keywords will stand out, and it'll also in the subject it will stand out adolescent development, blacks, poverty. And so you can whittle your way through here and read the titles, read the subjects, and you also, when you found one you think might be good for you, like maybe this one, risks and protective factors for urban African American youth. So say this one sounds like it might be good for our research. So let's click on that one. So you're going to come up with the catalog record for this article. To get to the full article, you're going to click on PDF full text, and that brings up the article for you. From here or from the other page, I'll go back. You can go off to the right and go to the tools. Now you see you can add this to a folder, you can print this PDF, you can email it to yourself, you can save it, you can cite it. So let's go over these tools. So adding it to a folder adds it to a folder, and it's up here, and if you click on that you'll see that you have this citation listed. Now you can also, oh, we went back and it clicked it out. So let's re-add it to the folder. There we go. You can also email it to yourself one by one, but if you keep adding it to a folder, and as long as you don't click the back button, I think if you just go to return to the results list, it will keep it up there. So when you're completely done with your search, and say you have over 20 items or 10 items, however many items you have in your folder, then you can just email that entire folder to yourself. But some people like to just email them to themselves as they go. I'm actually kind of one of those people, but you do have options. So if you want to email it to yourself, you just click on the email button, and you type in your email in this box and a subject. A lot of times if I'm doing a search, I just like to put article 1, article 2, article 3, but whatever works for you, and then you would hit send. You can also cite it. This is really great for students to use. So if you click on that, and it will give you this article's citation in all of the style citation formats. MLA, Chicago, Turabian, APA, all the different ones. Obviously, APA is the law of the land for social work. So you can take this and you can copy and paste it. But however, a forewarning, librarians will always tell you just copying and pasting it is problematic for two reasons. The first one being when you copy and paste it, especially into a Word document, it can get changed and get a little funky. Most of the times, some of the punctuation will get out of sorts based on the way that it copy and pastes into the document. Word has a tendency to do that. And if you don't know how APA style citation works and you have no idea that it's been changed, you could turn it in and you could lose points on your paper for not having the correct citation. And the second reason for always checking this, if you do copy and paste it, check it against the manual or check it against our style guide that we have on that library's homepage, is because you need to be learning this citation. I can do an APA style citation without having to look up how to do it. You just have to know where to place your punctuation, where to place your information, and what format, where to put it. So if you're always copying and pasting and not paying any attention to how it actually is laid out and the different ways that it needs to go, you're never going to be able to learn to do it, because there is going to be times where you're going to need to cite stuff and it's not just going to be given to you. So always check it against the style manual and or the manual that we have here, the guides that we have here on the library website. So let's go back to our results list. And I want to show you two other things. Let's see, let's find one. This one right here, Pathways and Predictors of Antisocial. It's not really the article I want to show you. I want to show you that where it says linked full text, where the one that we just did up here said PDF full text. PDF full text means that we just have the PDF. It's available to you. You can click on it like I did, and it's right there for you to download. Linked full text means we have it, we have access to it, but you have to link out to it on the web. So it's here, and you can still get it. You can still cite it and do all those tools in the catalog record of it, like I showed you. But to actually get it, you have to go out on the web to Elsevier's site, and then you download it. But we do have access to it. So let's go back, and now I'm going to find one more, and I don't know if it would be in here. So let's take away some of these limiters, and you can take these limiters away, and it will keep changing your search again. All right, here's one right here. This one is 360 link to full text. Now, sometimes it will give you a link to full text, and sometimes it won't. So let's see what this one does. Okay, this one does seem to give you the whole article, but sometimes it won't. Sometimes this area here that actually has it is not there, and all you will see is this part off to the right. And see how it says still need help? This is where you can request an article through interlibrary loan. So if we didn't actually have the linked full text to this, you could click on request this item through interlibrary loan, and you would sign in. And then you would come up with a page like this. And what's really great about going through interlibrary loan this way is that it pre-populates the form for you with all of the pertinent information that you'll need to request this item. And then all you have to do is hit submit request. And what's great about electronic resources, other than if you were trying to interlibrary loan a book, is you usually will get the item in less than 24 hours. And it will come in your email inbox, and you'll click on it and you'll have the PDF, and you can download it and save it and use it for your paper. So give yourself at least a day if you think you're going to need some articles that we might not have access to. So don't put off your research too close to when your paper is due. So if you have enough time, this is a really, really great resource to take advantage of. All right, so let's go back to our result list here, and I want to play around with this and show you a few other things that we can do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear the search completely. So I'm going to hit new search. And so I want to show you how some of the other Boolean operators can work. So I'm going to use some parentheses, and I'm going to go poverty and African American youth. And so by putting the parentheses, oops, I misspelled it. By putting the parentheses, it's telling the database to search this entire phrase as a whole and not put and in between anything else besides where I want the and. But then I'm going to change this operator here from and to or, because we're going to broaden our search and use some synonyms. So here we're going to put poverty and adolescent youth. And oops, I need to put my brackets around it. All right, let's see what comes up with this search. So we got 834 results with this. And you'll see we have it here and it is bracketed. So it kind of broadened our search. The results didn't seem to be a lot more in number as the other search that we did, but I guarantee that we have different items. So let's put some of our limiters on. And now we can go down here to this major subject heading. So we can click on show more. We could do blacks, poverty, adolescent development. We could do lower income level, because those are all different synonyms and subject headings. And we'll hit update and we'll see what we get. So we get 121 results. And that's still kind of a big number. But you get the idea, so you can keep playing with that. If you scroll down, you can see that we have a lot of other limiters here. I just want to go over them with you quickly. You have regular subjects, which are very similar to the major subject headings. Pretty much just always do major subject headings because they're going to be the major topics in each paper. You could do by publication. So this one can be handy for graduate level students, especially in social work. If your professor says that they would like you to find articles that are in social work specific journals. So you can find a lot of great resources that will be on your topic and that will pertain to social work, but they may not have been published in an actual social work publications. It may have come in a psychology one, it may have come in an education one, it may have come in a medical journal or a nursing journal, depending on what your research topic is. So if you know that you need to find a social work database, this is the best way to do that. So you click on publication and it'll show what it can search, especially if you remove all the limiters and you use that as one of your first limiters before you do the major heading ones. Always do the scholarly peer reviewed and the publication one first, but then instead of going to major heading, skip all the way down to publication and be your first one. You can also search by publisher, which is the actual publishers of the journals, which I've never had anybody do, but you can. Language can be really handy. A lot of times you'll see, besides just English, there's Portuguese, German, Chinese, Arabic, all kinds of languages. Unless you can speak all of those languages, just click English, and a lot of times it can get rid of a bunch of search results that you don't even need because you can't even read them. Age can be really great for social work. So for this one, we could click adolescent, 13 to 17 years, and get 54 results. And so that would be another way to whittle down our search to a specific audience that we are trying to research. Gender, if we were doing African American males or African American females, this would also be great because this would be a way to just eliminate anything that was gender specific. But since we're not doing gender specific, we don't have to, but it's also really great. Now, see, we also have, this is something great. It has USA, but for some reason, it has Europe, it has UK and Ireland, and continental Europe. So if we click USA, because we obviously want American youth. So I'm going to click off that because it took away some other limiters, but you see where that's a way to get rid of some, and now we're down to 43, which is a pretty manageable size. But I'm going to take the geography one off there, just so I can go back and show you the other few. So methodology is the one that I was telling you about before that only certain databases have, and they're really great, especially in the upper level classes for research. So if you are looking for a quantitative study or a qualitative study, which I know sometimes teachers will say, I want you to use only those types of study, or if you're looking for interviews, if you're looking for case studies, which can be the case a lot of times, these are the only ones listed are the ones that are actually available right now. But a lot of times this list can be a lot longer with different kinds of methodology that you can search by. So then if you click on one of these, you'll know that you're only searching stuff for that. And the only thing that you're going to see is, say you need something that's quantitative. If you click on that, you're only going to find quantitative articles. There's also tests and measures. So if your professor says, I need you to find sources where they've used a certain kind of test or measure in the research, this is a great way to do that. Only certain databases have this limiter, and a lot of them are ones such as PsycInfo, Medline, CINAHL, ERIC, things like that. Do not have tests and measures in the social work specific databases. And last but not least is population. I've only ever seen human, male, and female, but I think you could have some kind of animal in there. But we could click just human for this one if we wanted to, but for this one I don't think it's necessary. But this could be pertinent if you were doing something that may a certain population of this type of population that you would really want to hone in on. So those are all the different kind of limiters. So you can see there it's quite extensive. So I wanted to show you how you can play around with this Boolean operator as well. So we did OR, so we could also click this to AND just to see what happens. So we have 9 results when you do AND. So this way it's doing its AND, so it's poverty and African American youth and adolescent youth. So it has to have something about all that, something somewhere in the subject or in the title or in the abstract. So that was one, or we could change it and we could do not. So remember when we did OR, we had about 800 and some result. Well, since we did poverty and African American youth, and we want to make sure if we wanted to make sure it didn't cover poverty and adolescent youth. So it got rid of anything that had to do with adolescent youth and poverty. But so this is only poverty that has to do with African American youth, and those search terms have to be in the abstract, the subjects, or the title of the article. And then you can whittle down more from there as well using the subject headings. So that's it for that one. Let's go back to our course guide. And I won't show you these ones, but please, like I said, look at these tutorials on your own. And if you have more questions about database searching, please contact me and I'll show you my contact info in a little bit. I have a few additional resources. So, structure of a research paper. So many of you, I'm sure, have written a research paper, and hopefully all of you have at this level. But sometimes it can be still a little fuzzy about how you need to structure your paper. So I put this little thing in here that I've used before. It says, while academic disciplines vary on the exact format and style of journal articles in their field, most articles contain similar content and are divided in parts that typically follow the same logical flow. Following is a list of the parts commonly found in research articles. So it's a good rule of thumb to get familiar with these, because not only will you see them in the sources that you're using, but you're also going to be formatting your papers in this way. And this is like the traditional APA style. So there's obviously going to be a title, there's going to be an abstract, you're going to have an introduction, and of course you're going to need to do a literature review. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Then you're going to have methods, perhaps, and results if you're doing some kind of testing of some sort. Then you're going to have a discussion and then conclusion, and then of course you're going to want to have references. So if you read through all these, and I won't read through all of them right now, you can see a description of what all of those headings are. These are the general headings. Sometimes your professor will ask you to have specific headings, and I've had that happen to me before when I was in college, and so it just depends on what your professor wants, but generally that's the structure of a research paper. So if we go across over here to evaluating sources, you want to know if a source that you found is credible or not credible. Even if you found it in the databases, there could be things about it that might not make it a good choice to use as a source. So you want to use the CRAP test. And I know, haha, that's very funny, the CRAP test. But it actually stands for currency, relevancy, authority, accuracy, and purpose. And we actually have a whole literature guide on it. But I will actually pull up the full test that I have for you, and you can use this whenever you're trying to evaluate your sources after you've done all of your searching. So currency is the timeliness of the information, and it asks you questions here. The relevance is the importance of the information for your needs, for your research question, for your audience. Authority. So what is the source of the information? This is a big part of finding it credible. So who wrote it? Is it scholarly? What are the author's credentials? What are the author's qualification? And, where did the source, what source did this come from? And then accuracy. So the reliability, the truthfulness, and correctness of the content. And in today's fake news society, this is a really, really big issue. So where does this information come from? Is the information supported by evidence? Has the information been reviewed or refereed or peer reviewed? Can you verify any of the information in another source? Does the language or tone seem biased or free of emotion? That's a big one, because there's a lot of stuff out there that claims to be true, but you can tell it has a lot of bias in it, and that means it's an opinionated paper, and it is not accurate and is not reliable. And then, are there spelling, grammar, or other typographical errors? And then last but not least is purpose. What is the reason that this information even exists? So what is the purpose of the information, and why should you use it in your paper? So based on all of this, it asks you to give everything a score. And if you can keep it above 35, you're pretty good. Between 40 and 50 is really where you want to be, because that's good and excellent, because 35 to 39 is just average, but anything below that is just not acceptable. So you can always use this to help you evaluate your sources. So the literature review process. So obviously you need to perform a literature review before you even decide if you're going to really write on a topic, because you need to find out what's already out there in the literature about your search topic. So you want to search the certain area that you would like to research, and you need to do this for a certain amount of reasons. You need to find out what is already out there, and then you need to find out what are the gaps in the research, because that's what you really want to talk about. You need to find out the gaps that are there so that you can help fill them, because this way you'll be adding to the scholarly conversation. So this is a really helpful guide that I did not write. It was written by another librarian at another library, but it is really helpful to help you with that. Also, another great resource for literature review is skipping one really quickly, is going down to writing resources for the School of Social Work. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Kilgore, he is our in-house writing resources coordinator. He has a PhD in English, so he is great with writing. He knows all the ups and downs of literature review, and if you have questions, he does online virtual office hours, and you can always email him. So he's a great resource. And then also he has a writing guide for social work, and so there's a bunch of stuff in here about why writing. You can find stuff about doing literature reviews. I do a lot of stuff with him, talking to students about literature reviews. He does the literature review explanation, and then I teach students how to find the sources for the literature review. So it's very, very important that you make your literature review the main focus when you are starting your research. So you want to search for stuff, but you want to be searching for stuff to do the lit review first, and then for the rest of your paper. So going back up to here, I have a basic search plan, and if I do a live session, a lot of times I hand this out, and I either ask the students to take it with them and use them when they're researching, or if I can, I have them actually do this search activity with me there, and then I walk around and see if they have questions. Since this is an online class, I encourage you to take this, download it, and print it out, and when you go to do your research, Use it as a guide. So put in this box your topic or issue. So what is the purpose of your search? Think conceptually. So put your major concepts down here and then put your synonyms off to the side. Just count how like I searched, for a major concept and then I had synonyms. Then you want to think about your Boolean logic and you want to organize that here. After that, you want to identify relevant databases and then the relevant limiters that you'd like to use and fields as well. And then you want to carry out your preliminary search. And then evaluate that search process and then keep reworking the search. Don't give up. Don't just clear it and say this is not working, I need to change my topic. Keep trying to find different synonyms by even using a thesaurus, using different limiters and playing around with those. There's so many limiters, especially when you search multiple databases, that you could be there for hours just playing with the limiters. So always use this as a guide. I even use this myself when I'm doing research, so it can be very, very helpful. And then let's see, some library resources. So we have the Social Work Subject Research Guide, which is the main guide. I did not write this guide, my predecessor did, but it is our main basic subject guide for social work. And then this is the UTA Library Guide to APA Style Citation. So this is what I was telling y'all about. Use this as a reference when you're citing. It breaks everything down how to cite things in different formats. And so use this as a tool when you are citing. Don't just copy and paste and forget about it. Actually, just at least check this out and make sure that you're doing it in the right way. And then you'll be able to do it, and you won't even have to use the copy and paste. You will know AP style citation like the back of your hand. And then last but not least, I hope every one of you has heard of the Purdue Online Writing Lab. I could not have gotten through my undergraduate degree without it. It is the #1 resource, obviously by Purdue University, for writing. They do APA style, I think is their main one, but you can do other ones in here. But they give you general format for APA style. They do an overview. They have all these different ones, so you can find examples of how to cite for all of these different things. And they give you, this is a example here for you to use, an example abstract. And a lot of what I like to do, and what we also have on the APA guide that we have from the library, is when you're wanting to try to find out how to cite something, you just look at the example and then just plug in your information just like the example. And then that usually is the best way to do it. So it'll help teach you the right style citation format with also doing it the right way and not cheating. So that's all I have today. If you guys have questions, here's a few ways to contact me. I have my contact information here. I live in the Central Library on the 5th floor, and my office is 518. You can email me directly from here, or my email is brooke.troutman@uta.edu. Also, other resources to check out. We have the research coaches on the 2nd floor Academic Plaza if I'm not around. You can drop by during office hours that I have in the social work building if you are available to come to campus, and that's in Social Work Building A. It's room 317. I'm there most Thursdays from 12 to 2. Sometimes I'm a little busy. You can set up a research consultation with me, and you can either call me or email me for that. If you're an online student, I know you might not be able to make it to campus, so I actually do phone interviews or phone consultations, excuse me, and I do a lot of them, quite frankly, and I have no problem doing them, and I can even do some of them after hours. We can even Skype if you'd like that. And then we also have our Ask a Librarian chat feature on the library homepage. I do chat hours. They vary from week to week. There's always a real librarian on during the daytime, regular working hours, and then the rest of the time of the 24-hour period, we use students and volunteers and some other library staff members. But there's always somebody there to answer your question if it's something that you have to have answered right away. If you're working late at night and you think that you have a question directly for me, feel free to email me. I might not be able to get back to you till the next day, but I'm pretty quick with email. I just won't email you at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I will email you at 8 a.m. the next morning when I get into the office. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck with all of your research and good luck with your class.